Chairman, sir, the Minister has arrived. May I have your permission to start the webinar?
Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Honourable Mr. Shafqat Mahmood, Federal Minister for Education, Professional Training, National Heritage and Culture. It is a great pleasure and an honor to welcome you on this webinar by Karachi Council on Foreign Relations, KCFR. Before I come to the webinar, I would like to inform the Honourable Minister and the participant very briefly about KCFR. Sir, Karachi Council on Foreign Relations is a prominent think tank at Karachi since 2003, which deliberates mainly in the fields of foreign relations and economic affairs. Late former Chief Justice, Pakistan and Governor Sindh, Justice Siddiqui was our founding chairman. Former Chief of Naval Staff, Admiral Shahid Karimullah, and former Federal Minister, Lieutenant General Moinuddin Haider, have also been our chairman. A number of former ambassadors, generals, admirals, intellectuals, and a large number of elite captains of businesses and industries and services in Karachi are our members. We keep holding seminars and conferences on various national and international issues, and our recommendations and proceedings are forwarded to the concerned ministries. We also conjoin with a number of institutions internationally, and we have signed MOUs with about 12 international institutions. Sir, may I request you to kindly address us with your plenary address. Honourable Minister, Mr. Shafqat Mahmood. Sir.
Thank you, Mr. Anwar. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, let me begin by thanking you for inviting me to this event. It's an opportunity that I always welcome because education is a subject that has unfortunately not been in the forefront of our national psyche. We all say and we always repeat that education is the best thing, but over the last 73 years, the state has not invested as much in education as it should have. And therefore, there are a lot of problems that we face, a lot of challenges that we face. There are other challenges we are facing these days also, which are the challenge of how to continue with education during the COVID emergency. But there are other serious problems in our, which are societal problems. We have a huge apartheid-like situation in education, where you have the elite schools, then you have low fee-paying private schools, then you have a huge portion of government schools, and then you have the madrasa schools. And each one of them is going in their own direction. The elite schools are linked up to the international systems, to Cambridge, O-level, A-level, baccalaureate, etc. The language is generally English. You come to the large number of government schools and low fee-paying private schools. The system is matriculation. The language is more or less is Urdu, although there's also regional languages, but the standards are not very high. Madrasas are doing Dars-e-Nizami. So we have divided the nation. What does education do? Education provides you a way of looking at the world. And if you have a different kind of education, you look at the same reality and you look at and you come to different conclusions. And many of our, or at least some of our serious problems that took place over the last 20-25 years in the shape of terrorism has to do with the perception divide in the country. So it was in a part of the Tehreek-e-Insaf manifesto. So we have gone ahead and we've started to develop a single national curriculum. In the first phase, we have developed 5 years. The first primary curriculum is ready. It has been adopted by Punjab and KP and Balochistan, plus Gilgit and Azad Kashmir, Islamabad, of course. Sindh has some reservations, but we are working with SIN. Incidentally, let me mention one thing. All the decisions that we took during the COVID emergency and all the decisions that we are taking now, we are taking everybody along. Despite difficulties of 18th Amendment, we have decided to work with everybody. And all of these things decisions were taken unanimously, including the one that we took just a few days ago. So the single national curriculum is being unfolded, and inshallah will start being adopted. There will be a legislative cover, and by the next academic year, which should be in August this year, we hope that all schools and madrasas and English and Urdu and Sarkari and non-Sarkari, everybody would have the same national curriculum which they will be teaching.
Thank you, sir. May I now request A. Marshal Riazuddin Sheikh? He has raised a hand to ask his question. A. Marshal Riazuddin Sheikh, Member Board of Governors, KCFR.
Thank you very much, sir. First of all, thank you for having enlightened us with your thoughts on education. Sir, I see that you have a plan to introduce at one point or the other the vocational training in your schools also. At the moment, all the provinces have their TEFTAs, like Sindh, Punjab, and Frontier, everyone does. But unfortunately, these institutes are not really working like they're supposed to be. Do you have any plan of how you intend to reform or advise reformation, or it will be left again to the provinces? Because I know that at least in Sindh, the technical education, there are about 256 institutes, and hardly any one of them is really an institute that you would say is functioning. Now, what the Hunar Foundation is doing with its a few number of institutes that they are doing probably more than all these 256 institutes are doing. That's a model. I don't know how we can adopt these models with madrasas and others. I was heading one of their Sindh education or TEFTA and their program also in Sindh of trying to impart technical education to the people, but to the youth. But somehow I found that even in the private sector, there is hardly a handful of institutes that can do that. We need to, as a country, come up with a plan, something that obviously it will not be easy, like Germany has. Germans have an institute that our policy where every technical or every industry has to have a certain number of candidates that will be sent by them to the institutes, and they actually put up the money to run these institutes. Technical education is very expensive, obviously. So we need somebody to actually sponsor that. And probably the industry is one of them who can do that. Your views on that,
Thank
sir?
you, sir. Honourable Minister.
It's a comprehensive question. Let me very quickly try and point out some of the different things that we are doing. We believe that after class 8, there should be different streams available to students, and we are working on that. One of the streams that is vocational training combined with the regular learning. It's called metric tech. So we have started an experiment of setting up labs in different institutions where vocational training can be given. But there is much more thinking needs to go into it, and we are focusing on it, so that one of the problems of out-of-school children is that the parents of poor families don't think that education adds to the earning ability of their children. So we feel that and a lot of dropouts actually are after class 5. In other words, after the children reach the age of 10, between 10 to 15 are the largest number of dropouts and out-of-school children. And that happens because poverty, the parents feel that this child who is 10 and plus can become a earner. But if they realize that there is a certain skill that the child has, which can also help to increase the earning, so therefore that skill can be useful. So I think, but I must say that there is far more effort and thinking that needs to go into it, but we are very much conscious of it. Generally on the Hunar Foundation, incidentally, our chairman of the National Vocational Training Council is Mr. Javed Hassan, who used to be head of the Honor Foundation. So we have somebody who's very committed to the vocational training. What we are doing is something very important, and that is that we are establishing a national accreditation council. This would be an independent body which would be evaluating every vocational training institution in the country, whether it is private sector, whether it's government sector, and will be certifying their standards and so on. And also, it will be giving permission for certain vocational institutions to issue certification, which will be then counter-stamped by the National Vocational Training Council and will become, because the problem in vocational training has been certification which people go and buy without any kind of training and quality of training. So both these things will be addressed, that we have to have a certification regime which is of denotes quality, and then we need to have institutions which are also judged and also given a certain grading, so that people know that what kind of institution they are getting into. So much needs to be done. Quality is very poor in our vocational training institutions. We need to, and this is one of the ways we feel that quality is. So as far as federal government is concerned, we won't be running institutions ourselves. We will be regulating, we will be creating international linkages, we will be making sure our certification has value, we will be developing quality standards of different types. For example, if you take plumbing, there is standard 1 of plumbing, and then there's standard 5 of plumbing. So we will develop these national qualification quality standards for each trade, which we are already doing. So a lot of work is being done on the vocational side.
Chairman Ikram Sehgal, kindly give your concluding remarks and vote of thanks. Chairman Ikram Sehgal.
Shafqat Mahmood Saab, thank you very much for having graced this webinar. It's been very interesting, and obviously it's a very important subject. And what better to start off the new year than to discuss something which really is important for Pakistan. I believe that there is a problem with the education thing because of the 18th Amendment. We do not want to go down the Yugoslav model. The Yugoslav, of course, model had a racial and religious divide, and therefore, because of devolution, we had a violent separation. We have our problems in this. We have only a racial divide, but I think we need to have a common minimum program, and we need to address what we do it in this thing, because it is, we've seen this things happening here which really are counterproductive to the continuation of good education. For example, textbooks, things like that. Single national curriculum is a good idea, and I think you must really sort of work on this in doing after the Senate elections in March, to make sure that the 18th Amendment is modified in order to have at least a common minimum program as far as education is concerned. This is very important. Number two, one thing the pandemic has taught us is the mortar bricks is not enough. Mortar bricks, we can take advantage. We can do double shifts at schools. We can do stage-wise the thing, etc. Because very good thing that you're interested in investing in tablets and all that. That technology can expand the reach of education, so that no child actually is left without education. I think you've said something very nice about public-private partnership, and I think we need really to go down that route. But the most important thing is the common minimum program, and also the textbooks. I think you need to really revisit your policies about the textbooks, because if you give the textbooks down to the provincial level, I think you're going to have a shamozel of the highest order, which is already happening as we see it. So thank you very much, Shafqat Saab. Thank you very much for gracing this occasion, and I look forward in the future to for having you again to discuss this important subject. Thank you.